Welcome to Lesson 2 of 7 for American Style Mahjong with the National Mah Jongg League rules. Hopefully you watched the previous video, which introduced you to the tiles and to the different sets that are used. And when I say sets, I mean a single tile, a pair, which is 2 of a kind, and then a 3 of a kind, which is a pung, 4 of a kind, which is a kong, and then 5 of a kind, which is a quint. And then we also worked with the suits and how they work together and how they work together even with the dragons. We didn't go into the winds yet, but winds are pretty literal because on the card they're denoted as north, south, east, west, etc., and they're all one color. So they're not real difficult to figure out, but we'll do some modeling with winds later. So if you are not comfortable yet with the suits and the sets and how they all go together, go back and watch that video again and then come back and pick up with this lesson. Also, if you don't have your National Mah Jongg League card yet, I would stop this video and go order it, and then when you get your card, come back and resume the lesson, because we're going to read through this card and you're going to need it in front of you or you'll get lost. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start this lesson and review the card. So you should have it in front of you, and just open to the cover, the front cover, and you can see that you're going to have the year on the cover, because every year they produce a new card every April. So about the end of March, everyone's expecting the new card to come in with all new combinations inside. The conventions and colors, the layout, the categories, those all remain the same from year to year. It's the combinations themselves that change. So the game is the same, but the combinations change. So you can look forward to that. All right, let's open up the card and look at the back. This is a 3-panel card, and on the first panel on the left, you're going to have here some very basic terminology and then some instructions for setting up your first game, I guess. And there's a few rules in there about claiming discards. The middle panel starts with verifying a winning hand, and then also penalties when a mahjong is in error. So these are very high level mechanics, definitions, and instructions. If you want to have more detailed information about game mechanics and rules and nuances and house rules and things like that, there are books out there that have been published. Just Google National Mah Jongg League how to play or something like that, and you'll find books that have been published that will help you dig a little deeper. So let's go ahead and turn the card over and look at the front of the card. And we're going to start at a very high level, and we're going to drill down to the detail. So bear with me as we, go through this process. Hopefully any of your questions will be answered by the end, and if they're not, just enter them in the comment section below, and then hopefully we'll be able to answer those questions. So the first thing I want you to notice is the first note on the upper left corner. It says, white dragon is used as a 0. It may be used with any suit, cracks, bams, or dots. So that's just clarifying. White dragons can be used as 0s or a dragon. That's one reason why they're very valuable. The other note that I want you to notice in the middle panel at the very top, it says this document is protected by copyright laws. It is illegal to reproduce it. And the National Mah Jongg League is very strict about this. They expect members to purchase the card and have their own card for use when playing. So do not make copies of the card. Don't even take pictures of it and post it on Facebook or anything like that. I called the league and clarified with them that any photo, even a piece of the card, or one hand alone, a picture of that posted on Facebook is an infringement of copyright law. So just be careful with that, and I don't know, just be cautious about that. I know it's tempting to share, but you're not supposed to. Okay, so we're going to move on now. All right, so the next thing I want you to notice is it is divided by panels, and on each panel there are categories, and these categories have different hands that you can play. So we're going to start with the first category and just talk about it briefly. So the first one is 2017. Every year there's a category for that given year. You got to have a lot of white dragons, at least at this point in time on our calendar. There's going to be a 0 in there. So in the future, I don't know, that'll be really interesting. But the next category is evens, or 2, 4, 6, 8. After that, we have like numbers, and what like numbers means is that the numbered tiles are the same, just in different suits. The next category this year is called Lucky 13, but every year this category on the bottom left is a math play category. So for example, last year it was 11 hands. The year before, I believe it was 7 hands. And it's not to be taken literally. It's just a play on math. So 9 plus 4 equals 13 is basically what that means. Or 7, you know, and 7 plus 6 equals 13, that kind of a thing. So it's not to be taken literally, it's just a little bit of a play on math. So in the middle panel we have quints. That category is for all 5 of a kind. And the 5 of a kind is not in every piece of the combination or the hand. It's just that each of those hands have to have a quint in it. So usually there are at least 2 quints. There is one exception, the bottom. Well, it changes every year, so we're not going to go into that detail yet, but the combinations in that card, or in that category, are quints, so you're going to have jokers for that. For the consecutive run category, the interesting thing about consecutive run is it can start anywhere in your sequence of numbered tiles. So only one of these combinations span the whole 1 through 5. Otherwise, it's 2 in a sequence, 3 in a sequence, or 4 in a sequence, and you can start that sequence anywhere. Like if it's a 2 sequence combination, you could start it at 5, and your 2 number tiles can be 5 and 6. So just keep that in mind. The sequence can start anywhere. The only exception is when a 9 is involved, because you cannot go from 8, 9 back to 1. It stops at 9. The 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 category is next, so those are all odds. The interesting thing about the odd category is there are usually only 1 or 2, maybe 3 hands that span the whole 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Otherwise, it's either going to be 1, 3, 5 on the little side there, or 5, 7, 9, the big side. So keep that in mind as you're playing that category. On the right panel, we have winds and dragons, and it's pretty clear it's made up of winds and dragons. Sometimes they'll put in some number tiles. Then we have the 3, 6, 9 category, and that category has 3, 6s, and 9s. And then, of course, we have our singles and pairs category. And this is the category where you cannot have any jokers, because you know you cannot use jokers with a single or a pair. So the other interesting thing I want to point out about singles and pairs is that each one of these hands is from a category on the card. So for example, if you have a hand that has winds in it, you can switch from that particular single and pair hand up to the wind and dragon category. Or if you're playing a single and pair hand that is a consecutive combination, you can switch from your single and pair hand to your consecutive category. So just keep that in mind. If your hand goes dead, you have room to change your hand. Hopefully, if the game's not too far into the wall, you should be able to change your hand and still be able to potentially win. Let's hope. Okay, so moving on further now, I want you to notice that the colors are in the card here, and the colors again mean different suits. So if you see one color, that means one suit is used for that particular hand. If you see 2 colors, that's 2 suits are required for the hand, and 3 suits means you have 3 suits for that particular hand. So keep that in mind. 1 color means 1 suit, 2 colors means 2 suits, 3 colors means 3 suits are represented. Then I want to talk about the parentheses. In the parentheses, you're going to have either clarification on the hand or limitation on the hand. So, for example, your clarification might say any 3 suits, and in the colors it will have 3 different colors. Or you may have 2 colors and it'll say any 2 suits. You might also have a limitation though. For example, if you are playing in a 3-6-9 hand and you have 2 sets on the end of your pattern, it could say you can make those sets either 3s, 6s, or 9s, or the 2 sets on the end have to be 9s or something like that. So the point is, always read the parentheses, because it's going to give you either clarification on the hand or limitation on the hand. And incidentally, if you are confused between the colors that you see and the parentheses and the way it reads, the parentheses wins. So if it appears to be conflicting, go with what the parentheses says. The text in the parentheses. Okay, so under the values column in the right margin of each panel, you have an X and a C. The X means that you can claim a discard for any set for your given hand. So you can see that there are spaces between the numbers and colors so that it creates sets of numbers and letters, like the dragons and flowers and winds, and then your numbers. You have a little space between them. Each one of those groupings or sets can be claimed or completed if a tile is discarded. So for example, if I have 2 2s and I'm supposed to get 3 to complete that set, and someone throws the 2, and if I have an X under that values column, I can claim that discard for an exposure and add it to complete that set. So that's what the X means. The C means that it's concealed, so you have to draw your hand completely yourself. You can declare Mahjong for the winning tile though. If you are ready to win and someone throws that last tile, you can claim Mahjong and take that tile. The next and final thing that I want you to notice is under the values column, the numbers. So you have a range of values from 25 to 60 or 75 depending on the year, and that is the value of the hand if won. And the value is directly linked to the difficulty of the hand. So that is the card. If you have any questions about it, please put them in the comment section below, and look for another video on the year for detail level information. There are a lot of nuances for certain combinations. I don't want to go into them now because I want this video to be useful for every year, no matter what. So look for another video for your given year to go into the hands specifically if you're looking for that kind of information. The next lesson that we do will be modeling some of these hands. So we'll actually be working specifically with the 2017 card in this case. But the lesson, or the modeling exercise, can be utilized no matter what year it is. It's just the examples that we're going to be using are going to be specific to 2017. You can apply the methodology though to any year. So look forward to that, and I'll see you at the next lesson.